And we are live. I'm Justin Lomness, the Lunatic Libertarian, here with my brethren from the Libertarian Party here in Wisconsin, Bryce Thon. He's running for state assembly. How you doing tonight, Bryce?
I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself?
Well, I always say the same thing, and when people ask me how I'm doing, it's crimsons, clovers, rainbows, and unicorns every single day with the lunatic, because that expression just pretty much sums it up for everything and anything that somebody could be experiencing in a day. It just depends on the tone and the context of what, of how I say it. So it's always crimsons, clovers, rainbows, and unicorns, because who the fuck knows what's going on in the world today? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, Bryce, let me know about yourself. How you met the Liberty Movement. You are involved with the Wisconsin Libertarian Party as running for state assembly. So let the people know a little bit about yourself.
All right, well, as you already introduced me, I'm Bryce Thon. I'm running for the 67th State Assembly, which would be Chippewa County and then Dunn County from about Colfax to Elk Mound. I've pretty much spent my entire life in Bloomer. I went to high school in Bloomer, played football there as an offensive lineman. I was in band, played tuba for a very large chunk of that. Um, as far as what got me into the Liberty movement, it was pretty much the whole way the COVID pandemic was handled. Watching the absolute lunacy that was going on in DC and the way the policies were being rolled out and how completely pointless they were. So I'd already kind of considered myself a libertarian anyways. So I started looking into libertarian podcasters, ran into Dave Smith's Part of the Problem, liked what I was hearing. So I looked into the Libertarian National Party, joined that in June of last year. Not even a week later, I joined the Libertarian Party of Wisconsin's platform. Started asking around because I started looking into the candidates. I'm asking, okay, is somebody running for this? Somebody running for this? Then around August of last year, I was like, you know what? I don't really like what Rob Summerfield's doing. I'm gonna throw my name out there. I think I can do a better job than him. And yeah, here we are today.
Awesome, awesome. I'm going to ask the audience if my mic is still making some kind of static noise, but we'll see what happens. Can you hear me okay, Bryce?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. It is
Okay.
staticky, at least on my end, but it's very minor.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that the audience can hear me okay. StreamYard was the problem the last time. It wasn't my cables or anything, because I eliminated all that and was still having a problem. Let's
Sounds
try
good.
this. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll just run it like this then. So you're running for state assembly. You're running against Rob Sutherfield. And what do you think is going to be better for the Libertarian Party and our policies versus this individual who's running as what, a Democrat or a Republican?
This is a deeply Republican area. So, yes, he's a Republican. Um, as far as what I think is better, you should ask the chat if they're hearing me twice because I'm hearing myself twice.
Bryce, can you hear yourself twice? I'm muting my mic, so you speak and
Okay, well, now that your mic's muted, no, I can't. I could though when you had it unmuted. So what I think it, because you look at what conservatives are starting to worry about, which I know they aren't the only people, but they are a majority of the voter base where I'm at. Um, right now with you can say what you want about BLM and Antifa, but obviously I can't say that I've supported the at least the rioting portion of it. Um, Especially with the fact that they were just burning down, typically speaking, mom and pop shops anyways. I don't think that's very conductive. I don't think that accomplishes anything. All you're doing is hurting people. I think conservatives specifically are going to they want to be able to protect themselves. So I think a clear cut, we believe 2A is absolute and it should be upheld in the most absolute manner. I think running unconstitutional carry is something that should definitely be focused on. Uh, Obviously, with especially with way inflation is being handled right now, and how it's getting worse and worse and worse. And hell, I just filled up my gas tank yesterday, and it was damn near $70, which never had to do that before. Um, I think we really need to start pushing out this message of having, if you're going to have a tax system at all, one that's done through volunteerism and not being forced on you at the threat of federal prison and being charged with a felony, which takes away your right to keep and bear arms. It takes away your ability to get a job in a lot of circumstances. Oh, and takes away your ability to vote. List goes on and on and on. I think the third most important thing we could probably focus on would actually be parental rights. Um, Especially with, we already, typically speaking, don't tend to support the concept of public schooling anyways. I mean, some people do as like maybe a secondary option, but definitely not the primary form of education. Uh, and with the way public schooling is being handled now, and some of the stuff that their kids are being taught without the parents even knowing about it, definitely think that that should be a strong focus. Whether we bring up possibility of making private schools more of the primary function, or kind
and
of
school choice and stuff like that.
right, yes, that as well, where you're not forced to go to the school within your district.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that the state has taken it upon themselves to present an issue that really doesn't involve them and with the raising of children. Now, do you think that on the state level we can get the federal Department of Education out of Wisconsin if we can, get somebody like a libertarian representative like yourself into the assembly?
I mean, if it's just one person, no, because you're still going to have too many Republicans and Democrats to go around. But if we start getting more and more people elected and we start promoting this liberty-minded message, I think, yeah, eventually we could get to the point where Wisconsin just says, hey, we don't care about the Department of Education. We think it's trash, and we're not going to acknowledge anything it wants to do.
that would help a lot of people with their property taxes and everything else, because we know that the public education system is funded by property taxes. And the property taxes that people pay in lower income areas obviously represents what they receive as funding in those areas. And then they want to add more money onto the system by saying, oh, well, we need more money to fund these low income areas because we don't get enough income off of property taxes. And they create this gambit where they say they want to provide for somebody else, but if you weren't taxing them to begin with, you nimrods, they wouldn't be as poor as they are. Sorry,
Yeah,
I went off on a rant.
no, it's fascinating how that works. They don't seem to realize that, hey, maybe a 1.6% property tax, and obviously, yeah, because higher or low income areas tend to be places that get taxed higher because, unfortunately, that's just the situation that it's in. You tend to have people who are in crappy situations and unfortunately have to do shit that devalues the property and makes it more of a risk to live there.
Well,
And
I mean, do you
it's,
think that public policy right now in Wisconsin benefits anybody that's of low income?
oh God, no. It do, it doesn't even benefit people who are like well off, like your upper middle class. It doesn't even benefit them. No, no, it doesn't. Like, so going back to public schooling and the whole right around COVID when they started shutting down schools and then when they didn't shut them down, they were forcing kids to mask up and all the other stuff that they're teaching behind the parents' back that they shouldn't be. Rob Summerfield actually helped pass a bill that put 1.1 billion Wisconsin taxpayer dollars towards public schooling. And it's like you don't see a problem with that. Like the fact that you have, because then he also pointed out, because this was on his website, which I'm not gonna give the URL, but he is also talking about how they were able to do that, and then on top of it, they were still able to have a $400 million rainy day fund. And it's like, okay, that's cool and all, but you're taxing the people of the state so much. Where's our rainy day fund? Like, we don't have one. Shit hits the fan, we got nothing, and it causes more people to be dependent on the government, which increases the power of social programs. And it's like, we don't need to do this. This doesn't need to happen. But they love their power, they love their control, and they apparently do a good enough job at convincing people that it's right to do it. And I'm hoping that I'm able to, as well as the other libertarian candidates running, change that mindset, because now more than ever is the time to start getting people's attention with the liberty movement.
Right, right. We're still having issues with sound according to the audience. I have changed microphones. I have changed audio settings. Can you hear me okay, Bryce?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I don't understand what's going on with it. I have full coverage as far as my internet and everything as far as that, but there seems to be some kind of interference or something. We do have a storm coming through here. Maybe that's a part of it. I don't know.
It very well could be. Like I said, it just left our house 10, 20, well, Yeah, now closer to 20 minutes ago. So it very well could just be that.
Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. We're just going to keep rolling here. We'll see if the chat updates. And, so what do you want to accomplish in your first term for constitutional carry? I mean, that's one thing that's, should be just obvious. And then you also have here that you want to peel back our taxes because we understand that our taxes do not actually give us what we actually need in our services and our resources. So, minimizing government, I think, is the biggest thing that we need to do here in Wisconsin. I think that our legislation has too many empowerments. They've removed the definition of a firearm from the state legislation. I brought this up with Neil Harmon, who's running for Secretary of State, is that they've actually removed the definition of a firearm. And it's absolutely ridiculous why that is removed because I'm a felon. So if there is no state definition of what a firearm is, I could be around a firecracker and be charged with another crime just because there's no definition of what a firearm is. What do you think you're going to do as far as correcting that? Because I don't even know when they changed it. It just all of a sudden it wasn't there.
Yeah, that's news to me. I honestly was unaware of that completely. Well, for one, that definition needs to get put back in. You like obviously fireworks are not a firearm. They shouldn't be considered a firearm. And unfortunately, if you don't have the definition because of how loosely the law can be interpreted, especially in court, yeah, that absolutely could happen. So for one, that needs to get put back in. Two, like I said, we need constitutional carry in the state of Wisconsin. The idea that you should have to pay the government. I know that I actually had a conservative point out because they actually argued in favor of leaving concealed carry permit in. They're like, oh, it's just $60. That isn't much. It's like, well, no, it isn't. But it can be put to better use other than giving the government $60 to have the right to have something that you should already have the right to possess. And like I was telling you before it went on air, this goes beyond guns. This is tasers, knives, pepper spray, anything that you can conceal that can be used for self-defense. You need a concealed carry permit for, and I think that's absurd. Um, stand your ground law, I think, needs to also be passed. I know we're not a duty to retreat state unless you instigate it, because that came up in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. They tried to claim that Rittenhouse had actually provoked it, but that shouldn't really be there to begin with. The whole concept of a duty to retreat, it puts you in a situation where if the law gets interpreted that you did provoke the situation, now you have to exhaust every option and then some before you're allowed to enact self-defense.
Hold on, hold on,
And
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. You cannot tell me that in a split second of endangerment, somebody's going to say, hold on, I need to run away so that I can
no,
protect myself. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. And they call me a lunatic, and I think that's some crazy ass shit right there.
right, no, and that got pointed out in the Rittenhouse trial. It's like he was cornered, and the guy, I think it was Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum had his hand literally on Rittenhouse's gun at that point. You cannot tell me that whether he provoked it or not, which based on the video, I don't think he did. But even if he had, you're not going to be able to figure out, like, when you're backed into the corner like he was, you're not going to be able to piece together, oh, I need to go this way or that way. No, your thought is, this motherfucker is going to kill me. I need to stop him. And that's the end of it. And you should not be able to be charged with murder because you exercised your right to self-defense. So,
Correct. Correct. And what's funny is that he actually had everything in proper order to actually get the end result that happened with that trial. And even though it did make a lot of people happy, because I didn't think it made people happy because the trial was broadcasted as white supremacy and this super right wing movement versus the super left wing movement, and all it's really doing is screwing with people left and right and putting everybody that really doesn't care about the issues left right in the middle. The thing is that when we no longer care about what color of skin is presented in front of us, when we no longer care what religion is presented in front of us, when we no longer care if people are congregating or doing anything that, well, I don't think that's right. Well, that's not you to tell anybody else what they should do with their life. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? And the state has gotten so up and beyond what they're actually intended to do, is protect contracts between individuals so that nobody gets screwed that way and has to result to some ridiculous act to recoup goods and resources that it was either provided or was said to be returned to them in contract. But that's where the government has gotten up. You're not my daddy. You're not my mama. You're not here to tell me how I'm supposed to cross the street. You're not here to tell me how I'm supposed to interact with other individuals. And you're not here to tell me how to speak as an individual. That is not the state's proper place. But because people have given up their sovereignty and saying that, oh, it's okay to give up my sovereignty to make choices for me because I can't take care of myself, this is the mindset that's been programmed into individuals across the entire country and probably across the world, is that they need to depend on their governments to do for them instead of them doing for themselves. So with you taking an act of peeling back those taxes and peeling back these barricades in the state assembly, do you think that message can transcend to everybody across the board as a human being?
I mean, unfortunately, the answer to that is probably no. Because even in the time I've gone out and gotten signatures, like, I've had people who, when I'm telling them what I want to accomplish, tell me, yeah, I'm not going to sign your paper because we don't agree on things. We have different worldviews. And I'm sitting there thinking, so you're going to tell me that you don't think if somebody, maybe they have a shit day or maybe they've had a shit year, goes off the deep end, and like the Buffalo shooting that just happened.
Yeah, the Buffalo shooting was MK Ultra all day. They pushed the button on that individual, and he went out and was directed out to distract individuals out in this world of what's actually happening to them from our government. But that's my own lunatic personal opinion, is that that person was actually activated, like the person that was activated there in Colorado with the theater shooting during Batman. During a lot of these events, I think these are activated individuals. I'm former military. I'm just going to stay out of it right now and keep my mouth shut. But that's where my mind goes with that shit.
Right, yeah, no. But see, that's my point. It's like these people think that if that situation were to happen, which it did, that somebody shouldn't have the right to have a firearm on them and protect themselves or protect others. It's, you're seeing this guy shooting up people right there. You should be able to put a stop to it, but these people, for whatever reason, they don't think you should be able to do that. Taxes, for whatever reason, they've really fallen in love with their social programs. So the concept of even switching the tax system, not even getting rid of the concept of taxes, but just like changing it to one where you are not going to be going to prison for not paying them, and you can choose how much you're paying them. That because they know that a lot of those social programs would be gone for whatever reason, they can't be behind it. So no, I don't think every human being is going to get on board with that message, because uh well uh we hard times create strong men create good times create weak men. That we've been living very, very cushy, cozy lives here in the States, and people have gotten soft, and that's unfortunately just this situation we're in. So I do think that I could get a majority of people on board with that message. I think that is absolutely possible, but 100% or even 90%, no, unfortunately, I don't think 100% of the people are going to buy into that right now. Like over time, you might be able to get them on board with it, but like I said, we're in good times, and weak-minded people have been created as a result. So
Well, and I talk to people about all the time about skill sets and what people have as far as knowledge and what they don't. And I've talked to a lot of anarchists on Clubhouse and stuff like that, and they talk about, oh, well, you know, I've lived in communes and I can do this and I can do that. And I'm going, okay, well, what are your real skill sets? Because I'm a master diesel technician. And I'm
mhm.
also a trained welder, as far as if I took 2 more math classes, I'd have an associate's degree in welding technologies, and that includes programming robots and doing all this as far as processes. And I can go on tangents about it, you know, electromagnetic current and fields, and I can go into, the electrical systems on a truck or on a car, and what modules talk to what. And, if you're looking at a laptop, these are the signals that you need to do. When it comes to actual tangible skill sets and the reliance on the state and our public education system, we can actually draw a diagram of this spiral right down into this big, I'm sorry, but I'm going to say the word white, usually toilet, that has another subsystem that goes into the sewer, and we are already swimming to our evacuation site. So we've already been flushed as far as people's skill sets and the knowledge that they should have to actually survive as human beings. But that's my personal opinion. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. We are basically, unless we turn this ship around, like within the next couple of years, we're head. I mean, we're already in hard times. That's an inevitability. That what we need to do now is we need to set up this society we're in to be set up in a way that is going to be much more beneficial for us than this authoritarian, more or less fascistic government system that we have right now. And until we accomplish that, we're just going to keep getting worse and worse.
And I don't disbelieve that. I think that if people continue to rely on the monies of hardworking individuals to survive themselves without having the knowledge to do it themselves, I think that we're really into a storm of something that we can't come back from. Because I think that there are a lot of individuals on this planet that work their ass off physically, and they have their fruits of their labor sometimes. And people can talk about indentured servitude and stuff like that. Well, as a master diesel technician, I can talk about the economy and what I have to invest in tooling to do my job and all this other stuff, and actually to express this mind out here. So it's kind of funny how other people are talking, well, that takes too much time, that's too much work. Yeah, That's what it is to live a life that you want to have success in. And I got to give it up to my Chief Goggins. You know, David Goggins is one of my biggest inspirations out here because he talks about if you want to be a master and you want to be the baddest motherfucker on the planet at what you do, you got to spend the time, and you got to put in the sacrifices, and you got to endure the failures to actually sit there and say that, yeah, I'm a master at what I do. Absolutely, because I've had failures and such and such and such situations, and now I can see those situations coming, and there is not a second thought about it. You know, Bruce Lee once said in a movie, he was like, "Point your finger to the moon." You know, when you point your finger to the moon, you know, don't concentrate on the finger because you're going to miss all the heavenly glory that's out there for you. You know, and don't think about it because if you think about it, that moment's already lost. So living in an experience and being in an experience, which we do every single moment of every single day, as far as we have consciousnesses, that's my understanding. You know, how do we get people to want to survive on themselves instead of being reliant on the state? And maybe I'm overstating it. Maybe I'm a lunatic. I don't know. That's why I bring these things up.
So baby steps would be the way you'd have to go about it, since they've had, especially like older generations like millennials and Gen Xers, they've had their entire lives being indoctrinated to this concept of social programs and being able to have people who actually contribute or provide for themselves cover their expenses.
Mm-hmm.
They've been indoctrinated to this stuff, so it is going to take baby steps to unlearn all that stuff, and it's not going to be easy. You're going to be feeling like you're talking to a wall, and you might even want to bang your head into one from time to time, but this is how you're going to have to do it if you're going to do it at all. You're going to have to convince people through baby steps. You know, when you're talking to a lefty, appeal
I
to
don't
what.
call them lefties. I talk to human beings. Fuck y'all. I don't care about labels, titles, and categories. Communist, lefty, righty, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian. It's about being a human being. What makes sense as a human being, right? So if I talk to you, Bryce Thon, as a human being, and say, hey, what makes your life tick? What doesn't make your life tick? Hey, do you not want to pay for a driver's license? Do you just want to have a car and get it, and you don't have to pay registration or anything like that? They'd be like, oh, hell yeah. Hey, do you not want to have to pay for a license to actually open up your own business or have a building permit to change something on your property? Or, you know, what do you want to do with that? They'd be like, oh, hell yeah, I'll be. Well, you know what you need to do? You need to get rid of all these bureaucracy barricades in front of you being the best human being that you can be. Let's get rid of that shit. Let's get rid of this government barricades and let's go handle it. You need to vote for libertarians because they want you to have all that freedom and get rid of all these barricades that are in front of you. And let's go handle that business because more people will be inspired to go do something with their life if there isn't a barricade in front of them. But we've been trained that, oh, well, we got to jump through these hoops. I'm sorry, but I don't jump through hoops anymore. I joined the military. I've done things in the military that I don't think are the greatest things in the world. And I apologize for all of those things. Literally, I apologize for all those things. And the thing is that there's nothing I can do to turn the hands of time. The thing is that if most bureaucracy barricades weren't in front of me, I could have done a whole lot of other things. But hindsight's 2020. And that's why I love the libertarian policies that said, hey, you need to be a free human. You need to be a free human and live your life how you see fit. Let's get rid of these bureaucracy barricades in front of everybody. And if you get rid of the taxes, the burden of that,
if you get rid of the public education systems that don't educate, they indoctrinate, we can change all this stuff. Sorry,
Yep.
another lunatic rant.
No, you're good. It's your show. Do it how you want. Yeah, no, you hit it right on the head. People don't seem to understand the you can live your life how you want and not force other people to live that way. It does not have to be that way. The non-aggression principle is the most beautiful concept ever thought of. Like, hey, you know what? You could go be a Catholic. You could be an atheist. You could be whatever. You could be a gay man. You could be a straight man. You could be a woman. Whatever. Whatever you want. Live however you want. Just don't force your lifestyle onto other people. And for some reason, a lot of Americans just don't seem to get that. And we really, really need to get that message across, because it's very unfortunate that people think they have to force their ways onto other people.
Because it shouldn't matter. The United States Constitution says you have the freedom of speech, you have the freedom of religion, you have the freedom of assembly. You can do whatever you want according to the United States Constitution, just as long as you're not fucking with somebody else's stuff. Go work for your goods and resources. Go create your contracts with your other fellow human beings and have non-violent interactions. It's not a hard concept to do, but everybody wants the easy way. Nobody wants the hard way anymore. Hard ways are hard work, and hard times are coming for those that think that it should all be fun and games and be easy.
Ain't that the fucking truth? Like a vast majority of the things we have asked our government to do, starting back at, I believe it would have been 1912 when we started implementing a lot of the shit that we're doing now.
The Federal Reserve Act.
Yeah. A lot of the shit that we've been asking the government to do, it was never designed, nor is it capable of doing. This is why socialist countries don't work, because they put too much duties in the hands of the government, and the government simply is not designed to do that. It don't matter what you want the government to be. It simply does not have the manpower. It doesn't have the resources to accomplish what you want it to do. The only purpose for a government, if it should exist at all, which we can get into that topic, but if it should exist at all, it should be to help protect your rights to life, liberty, and property. Other than that, everything else, stay the fuck out of it. No other purpose.
I want you. That's Uncle Sam saying, right? For when they recruit people for war, I want you. Well, I want you, the American people, to understand that this government is not out here to be for you. They are out for themselves. The thing that the Libertarian Party, this is my perspective, this may not even reflect against all of libertarians, and I would never say that any fucking way. The thing is that my perspective on the Libertarian political party is that it should only exist until it should no longer exist. It's the party of principle to get rid of the public policy barricades that chain our citizens as United States American citizens now, the freest country in the world, unless you don't do what I tell you to. Don't sell drugs. Don't drive without a driver's license. Don't do this, don't do that. Everybody knows that violence against other human beings is a real crime. Everybody knows that. unless it's a vendetta or violence upon violence, those are semantics that need to be argued upon individual basis. But that's why you used to have public duels of individuals that said no.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have sporting events of boxing and MMA where two individuals will KO each other and say, "Oh, well, you know,
Right.
goodbye," but we'll pat you on the back after you regain consciousness, hopefully. The thing is that people that want to resort to the shortcut are the people that need to be worried about, in my opinion. If we can train or use the word indoctrinate, let's use a bad word. We're going to indoctrinate people to be self-sufficient, to live on their own hard-earned knowledge and physical assets. Now, if you are of those people, and then you have people that are not of those people that don't have physical assets or knowledge, then the responsibility still relies on you to take care of your bloodline and your family. That's one thing that we have also passed on to nursing homes, and we passed on to other portions of the state's contributions to us as they take it from us to contribute it to us. You got to pay
Yeah.
taxes because we can't take care of grandmama unless we pay taxes. So that's the thing I'm talking about. It's like when we have this reciprocating thing that goes around where the government says we're going to take your money and then give you it back in these programs. The thing is that they take away all your individualism because you can't live your life to take care of your own family the way that you want, the way that you see fit. It's always a decision that's already made for you. And how many people have lost their lives over the id 2 years where the id took over for 2 years, and then how many people lost their lives where people couldn't even say goodbye to their family members? And I'm sorry, but I'm the person that's walking through that nursing home door, and I'm sorry for the individual that wants to stop me, but you are going to be placed out of my way in any fashion that I see fit, so that I'm going to see my family member. You are not making that decision for me. I'm sorry, but that's my own personal, because then as far as the non-aggression principle, you are enacting a force of aggression against me first,
Mm-hmm.
always. The aggression has already been made. You're telling me I can't see my family member? Well, I'm sorry. That's you made the wrong decision. And I'm sorry that if that a business told you to make that decision for you, and you didn't see that in a human being way that was wrong. But uh, I'm getting a little agitated on some subjects here, and I need to move on. So the thing is that you're running for state assembly. You're out here to get rid of people's taxes, as far as their property taxes, to relieve them of their the wallet that's being taken away from them. The thing is that I see it as a way to indoctrinate or give the public education a way to say, hey, this is something that doesn't work. You're not taking my property tax money. I don't think that if I own this state of land, you should be taxing me on it anyway. Let's just get rid of the state tax code. Peel it
Yeah.
away. Peel it away. We don't really rely in Wisconsin on federal funds anyway. We're probably one of the lowest states out of the entire country. So
I mean, we do rely on some federal funding because, oddly
well, in
enough, when I
comparison to other states, in,
well,
in
no,
comparison to other states.
we definitely get less federal funding. But a prime example, um, when I had first started my campaign page on Facebook, there was a day where I had made a post criticizing some things that Rob Summerfield had done or had said on a podcast of his own as well, and criticizing some of the beliefs that he was uh, pouring out. Well, somebody went and told him. So I got a phone call from him one day, and we talked, and because I didn't really want to give my hand away, I just asked him something completely random that I knew the answer to. why is the drinking age 21? I told him 18-year-olds have the right to vote. 18-year-olds can be forced to go over and fight a war for us. 18-year-olds can go to job. 18-year-olds can own property. But 18-year-olds can't drink. Why is the drinking age 21? And he said the quiet part out loud. If we took the drinking age and lowered it back to 18, the federal government would pull. I don't remember the exact amount he gave me, but it was a pretty high number, not going to lie. It was in the millions easily, hundreds of
Mm-hmm.
millions even. They would pull the road funding, is what he told me. The federal government would yank their road funding that they give us. My response to that was, well, who cares? That's still taxpayer money. I think the drinking age should be 18. And then he started going into, oh well, we're gonna have to increase this tax and this tax and this tax, and yeah, I wasn't gonna. He obviously was never gonna agree with me because he's part of the problem. But yeah, I'm sitting there listening. I'm like, no, you don't have to do any of this. Like I said, if we're gonna have a publicly funded anything, it should be done voluntarily. If you want your road fixed and you feel like the government should have a say in it for whatever reason, okay, then voluntarily give them however much money you want to fix your road.
Right.
Do not force other people to pay to fix your road, especially people that don't live anywhere close to where you live. Like,
It
that's the
should
other
very
thing
much be a local thing. Very much be a local
exactly.
thing. It should be all be handled in your local community. I mean, that's one thing that people get away from too, because we've come into this age where people want to dictate what people do and what their interactions should be according to their own personal standard. And I'm sorry, but this country was never founded on, well, I have to have groupthink and I have to do all this according to everybody else's what I'm supposed to do as far as my life standard. One thing is we're closing in on almost 10 minutes left in this podcast. I want Bryce to let everybody know where you can find him on social media, where you can find his interactions. I have to take care of a little bit of a break, and I will be back in a moment. Bryce, let the people know where they can find you and where they can find you on the internet and where they can find you to sign signatures.
All right, well, to start off with, there's obviously my Facebook page, Bryce Thon for State Assembly, or Bryce Thon. I should know this. I'm sorry. Bryce Thon for State Assembly 2022. Um, Whenever I need to get something off my chest or promote anything liberty minded that the state of Wisconsin should be doing, that is where you're going to typically find it at. You also didn't realize, because this is my first time using this, that if you were to switch pages, it boots you out. So
No
I don't.
problem.
Sorry about that. What I was saying is, you can find me on Bryce Thon for State Assembly 2022. I post there, obviously, whenever I'm trying to promote anything liberty minded that I think the state of Wisconsin should be doing, or calling out my opponent, Rob Summerfield. I also have a website, Bryce Thon Liberty 2022.com, where you can find my platform and what I'm running on. Donate if you want. Like I said, I'm more than happy to take your voluntary transaction to help me campaign against Rob Summerfield or host events, whatever. I also have a forum page on there where really people can discuss whatever they want. Um, and I'm more than willing to engage in those conversations. As far as signatures go, obviously, like I said, I'm running for the 67th State Assembly, so you're gonna find me roaming around Chippewa, Colfax, Bloomer, Cornell, Wheeler, Elk Mound, maybe if I have time. I'd like to get out there. I'll definitely get out there after signatures are done, but a
It's a
little
lot of
bit of
work, man.
it is. Be it the streets or the bars, I'm gonna be around there, and I will be more than happy to take your signature. Uh, it's about it, really. I mean, yeah, that's it. There's
It
my
sounds like you
campaign.
got some legit stuff that you want to do with it as far as being in the state assembly, as far as I'm concerned. And it sounds like if we repeal a lot of the taxes that we have on the individual, if we sit here and get rid of a lot of the barricades as far as the individual being able to progress over the course of their timeline, let's get rid of the standard of property taxes, which supplies money to education, because we all know that reciprocates the same horseshit over and over and over again. I think that people need to stand up for being themselves. I think that people need to get off their high horses as far as telling other people how they should live their lives. Do what you want to do with your life. I'm only given this one timeline as far as I understand on this plane, so don't tell me what I'm supposed to do. As far as skill sets, I think that people need to be out here and learning as much stuff as you can as far as what it takes to survive as a human being. Forget the Gucci, forget the Jordans, forget all this other dumb shit that you've been sold to ascertain a status in a socioeconomic climate. Understand that what it takes to survive as a human being, it takes some fortitude, it takes some gumption, it takes some hard work to actually be out there and to grow your own food and to understand the labor intensive and the knowledge intense that is there to be a human being. I think that's where people need to be at, and especially in this of an abundant state of Wisconsin, in which you can do this. You don't have severe climates as far as what you have in other parts of the country where you can't grow certain crops. I think that Wisconsin has an overabundance of an ability to produce the world's crops, and that may be year round. I think that as an agricultural and a horticultural state, Wisconsin should be leading in a lot of avenues, and I don't understand why we have barricades. And maybe it's lobbying. A lot of people blame cannabis prohibition on the League of Taverns. I don't know if that's exactly true or not, but possibly. I think that alcohol is one of the biggest detriments in our state currently. I think that the prohibition of cannabis in our state is one of the biggest detriments because, as a nonviolent crime, to purchase a plant that is a part of your endocannabinoid system as part of your human body, you have cannabinoids in your human body. So I think that's probably a lot of the reason that people are the way that they are. It's because they, over the course of generations, have been denied um, natural cannabinoids to supply their endocannabinoid system. And then we have all the pharmaceutical companies telling me every single drug that I need to consume to actually keep myself on balance. I love the line by Chris Rock who says that you are not to consume your drugs, you're to consume my drugs. And then the FDA and all these other people tell you that, oh yeah, it's safe until it's not safe. This you can imply that whatever way that you want. I think that everybody has the freedom of choice to do whatever they want with their body, no matter how they're doing it to their body. If you want to get tattooed, if you want to get pierced, if you want to get this or that, that's up to you. It is not up to any other individual, and it is definitely not up to the state. That's one thing that I think people should run on. I can't run. I'm a felon. I was a quote unquote a disgruntled veteran against the state, and yeah, don't threaten to blow up police departments, even if it's over the phone. Uh, well, and that makes me the lunatic libertarian. I was that guy, that picked up a phone and said, "Yeah, I'll do this, that, and the other," So, but you're running it the right way. I think that people like you are the people that should stand on those convictions of what you said, and I really will support you. If you need some signature signing, just hit me up. I'll volunteer my family and myself. It's kind of hard this season because you got drag racing and all this other stuff. So and in Wisconsin we gotta take our summers when we could get them. So
Yeah, for sure. There is no, that's one of the downs. Like it's an upside, but it's also a downside. Is there's like no consistency with our weather whatsoever. Like just a couple days ago, it was damn near 80 and sunny, and then we just had that nasty ass storm blow through. It's like,
yep.
for God's sakes.
And then it's going to be supposedly my father wants to go drag racing on Sunday, and it's supposed to be 60 and shitty after 82 on Saturday, and then it's supposed to rain later on in the day. So I don't know how that's going to work. The car runs too fast to be sliding around the track after a rainy day, and it's going to be cold. It's good for horsepower, though. It's good for horsepower, I will tell you that. But too much horsepower, not enough traction, is never a good thing. So
no, that's a recipe for disaster right there.
correct. All right, Bryce. Well, I really appreciate you being on my show, The Lunatic Libertarian. And you've already told everybody where they can find you at. You told them your website, you told them your Facebook, you gave them your email. Let's tell everybody how to be a human being. Volunteer for you people out there. Don't rely on the government. Everything will be all right as long as the government stays out your way and you have it up here.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, learn a trade too. There, like, aside from growing your crops, learning a trade and mastering a trade is incredibly valuable. Even if you don't end up using it, like I had gone to Chippewa Valley Tech to be a power lineman, got an
Mm-hmm.
electrical power distribution degree. Ultimately, I never used it, but the experience being there and all the stuff you learn is incredibly valuable, and it goes a long way.
Yeah, you would have been a construction electrician in the Seabees if you actually joined the Navy. I was a construction mechanic, and that's how I, grew to work on heavy equipment and Class A trucks and everything in between. So right now, I'm going to be signing off as the Lunatic Libertarian with my man Bryce Thon, running for Wisconsin State Assembly. Get that Sutherfield out of there. Obviously, he doesn't have the people's interest in heart. Vote for this man. Get him on the ballot. Sign them petitions. Get those signatures in. And let's see some real change in the state of Wisconsin. I'm Justin Lomnus, the Lunatic Libertarian, and we are out.